uses so much. We talk about gratitude, um, but a lot of times, you might wonder, what am I grateful for when this is happening, that is happening. So I'm trying to be very careful and to bring folks to see that word in a very new light. It is, um, it's one that really helps to address how we live and how we show up every day. And so that is what helps me come into awareness. The fact that I just take this day and take it one day at a time. One day at a time. Thank you.
One day at a time. Listen. I am so sorry. I apologize, Omolola. Girl, we have just been talking for the last 11 minutes. And I didn't press the button to start. But that's
okay. I just got a text from somebody and it said waiting. That your event is not starting. Yeah. Waiting for Rochelle D.
Yeah, we are live now.
Okay. Let me think.
I love this live because again, anything can happen and we just go with the flow. And so exactly. I'm just gonna start over. Happy Friday to ya. Happy Friday to ya. Happy Friday. Listen, we are in a new month, we are in a new quarter, and we are just super excited today for this Free Yourself Friday, to the art of slowing down. Listen, this is a perfect example of slowing down, Omolola, because I clicked the button to go live, but I didn't click the second button. So, just so excited to jump right into today's conversation and just excited about, this podcast and what we're going to talk about today. But, again, this is why we're here. So we can help ourselves, especially me, learning how to free ourselves, to the art of just slowing down, taking things slow, and it's okay. And so I am Rochelle D. Jacobs, your destiny interventionist, helping you to free yourself. And so today, we're going to just pause, breathe, reflect, and reset our souls, reset our intentions, reset ourselves. And you were just talking about, because I talked about that first A in art.
Yeah.
And becoming aware. And so I quickly became aware that we weren't live.
Yeah.
And you were talking about Omolola, and I'll let you kind of give us kind of go back and give us what you were talking about. But you were talking about, just embracing the new mercies that we get daily, that God, we get to press the reset button.
Yes.
When he blesses us with breath and waking us up in our right minds, being able to move our bodies and think, and the blood is flowing, and drinking that water, getting things, fluid and flexing, he gives us those new mercies, and we're just so grateful for it. And so we're gonna, today we're talking about something that many of us are struggling with, the art of slowing down, because in a world that glorifies the hustle, and grind, God invites us to his sacred, holy rest. And so, I can remember, Omolola, years past, pre-COVID, when, as soon as I would wake up, I would just, like I say, get into that hustle and grind, not stopping to have my morning devotion not stopping to talk to God, not stopping, to exercise and to meditate, just going, going,
Just
going,
going.
going.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so, today, I want to help us free ourselves, free yourself, from the hurry, from the heaviness, the weight that life puts on us, from the pressures to always do more.
Yeah.
More money, more working, more social media followers, more this, more that, and just learn how to stop and lean. Come on, lean to the right, lean to the left, lean forward, lean back, lean into the art of slowing
Yeah.
down. And so now we're going to just we're going to dig deeper into this conversation. And so we've already done the intro, but I'll let you do it again. Omolola, just give us a little nugget of who you are.
All right.
And what you're bringing. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Oh, that is fine.
But I love it.
That is
I love
okay.
it that we can.
I'm just grateful we're doing this.
Yes,
and
yes.
Thank you for
so much.
Thank you for those who kind of hinted me that they weren't on and they wanted to be on. I'm grateful. And so it's a pleasure to be here with you all today. Thank you all so much for listening in. I know this is going to be very impactful for every one of us. Have you ever built something meaningful only to realize it's not protected? Or worse, not sustainable? So I design business structures that don't just make money, they safeguard it. I am Omolola Adekeye, the founder of True Values Global Corporation. I am a business advisory and wealth strategist. My work sits in the intersection of law, strategy, and legacy, guiding entrepreneurs to build with intention, protect with precision, and grow with peace of mind. And through my nonprofit, the Institute for the Advancement of Humanity, I create spaces where women can heal, reset, and rise into their next chapter, whole and ready. And with that said, I am ready to go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so thank you so much for that introduction again. I'm just super excited to have this conversation because, like I say, it's so needed, especially right now.
Yeah.
Right now we are entering. No, let me back up.
We are
already in because we ain't entering nothing. We are in a season of hurry.
Yes, we're a season of hurry, and at the same time, it's a season of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
And it's always this time of year that we get bogged down with a lot. And this period is even more because the resources are not as much as they're as they were last year, this year, because a number of us are being followed. There's so many people experiencing different things and, just wondering, how can I give? And that is enough to, set things amiss. So, yeah.
Right. I love that. And so, it's just good that, when I reached out to you and we were exploring, how we can free ourselves, your topics. And I just loved, when you came back with the art of slowing down, because again, it helps me. It spoke to me to say, Rochelle, slow down. You doing too much. Burnout is a real thing. And so, when we think about the first letter of art, becoming aware. And so, when you, in your introduction, you asked the question, have you ever? And so, when you become aware of your state that you're in, I loved how you said you are at that intersection. When you're at that intersection of where, do I go left? Do I go right? Where am I going? Or how do I find myself always here in this same space and place of stuckedness, of not growing, of just, doing and not being, not allowing myself to slow down and just be. I can remember when you think about awareness, that's the A in art. Pre-COVID, I found myself, it became painfully clear, that awakening, that rude awakening of where I was in my life, my health, my finances, my relationships, my marriage, my me as a mom, me as a woman. I was in a bad place. And so, just being able to look at the pace of where and how I was moving. And like I said, it took me to a place of complete burnout. Mm. And so when you're at that place, Omolola, what does being aware of your pace in life look like? How can becoming aware help you recognize when you're just tired, when your soul is tired, when you just tired, sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Sick and tired. Yeah. So I too came from that, experience, and I think we have to look at these experiences as a call to actually slow down and take stock. That is how it comes out to be. I had to do that for myself when I came across. I had some health challenges coming my way, and then my business as well. And I've been an entrepreneur for almost 20 years, and I had to look and stop and really take stock of everything. And it was a process. I acknowledged for myself where I was. And so I tend to come to life every day with two premises. One, that being here, being alive, is a privilege given to me by the Most High, which I must take very seriously. The second premise I tell myself is that it's always a new day. And I have to see that through His grace, I'm given every day, every new day to do better. And so where I am at now does not mean that's where I need to be, later. Because if I make today work well, tomorrow will be better. So I try not to dwell in the past and just focus on being present where I am today. That is one thing I try to do to make myself aware, And so I try to stay, it kind of helped me understand what happiness was, what joy was. Happiness is not something I'm looking for somewhere, it's something I make from myself. It has to come from me, first and foremost. So I hope we can delve more into this. I don't want to really kind of, but these are the little things that make me aware. Just being present every day, and seeing that word gratitude as a life force, not as a state of being. As I said, it's a privilege for me to be on earth. Mm. That in itself says I am grateful.
Right.
And from that, knowing that my present circumstance is what I have made of it, based on the grace and the gift I have been given. And if I want to make it better, I can. But there are tools that helps for us as human, I like to say human spirits having a human experience.
I love that.
That we can utilize, but we have to come to an understanding,
right,
that we are on a journey.
on and I would like to also add to that, we're not on this journey by ourselves. A lot of times, Omolola, we feel that way. We feel, when life gets hard, when it be lifing, and the struggle, becomes real. We often forget. We want to be in isolation,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where Satan wants us. He wants us in that place because he so he can steal, kill, and destroy. And you talked about that joy, and so the Bible tells us, weeping endures for a night. When we're in that space of feeling the heaviness of everything, but there's joy in the morning, and it has to be something that's, because like we know, happiness is fleeting. I sing the song Happy Friday. It's about, what's happening in the moment. And I'm happy to be here. I'm happy for this day. I'm happy for this podcast. I'm happy for this discussion. But then that happiness goes to a different level, because then that joy that's within me, my positivity will start overflowing, because it's within. And so, just being aware of where we are. There's a affirmation that I got from one of my coaches, Dr. Shana. And I was like, oh, I like that affirmation. When we were talking about affirmations, and saying those things daily, affirming with mouth.
Correct.
And so, and it goes, I love me for who I am, when I am, where I am. And so when you are aware of where you are in this space of just being in this space of enjoying God's goodness and his grace, his mercy, the art of slowing down allows you to, like I said at the beginning, to pause, to breathe, to rest, to just be.
Yeah.
And, and don't always just be in a hurry, always trying to get to the next thing or get to the next place. A lot of times accidents happen, when we don't take time to slow down. My theme this year, as I'm a passionate PE teacher, passionate warrior teacher. And so our theme this year for PE is power move. Hashtag, we're going to be making power moves this year. And so the O in, just being observant, moving, watching around us, watching our space, our own personal space, each other's personal space. And so, we have to, when we become aware, we have to be observant on what's going on around us. And so it leads to, rest, that the R in art, rest. So when we become aware that, honey child, I'm burnt out. My body needs rest. I just recently had surgery in September. And, people that know me, I like to go. I'm the Energizer Bunny.
That's what it's called. Oh, how at the mighty fallen.
Yeah.
when you're given an opportunity to stop.
That part.
All these are blessings. That is how I like to look. So, coming from what you're saying, you said about being aware, being observant, acknowledging where we are.
Right.
And then understanding rest can come to you in different ways. A dis-ease of the body, a dis-ease of the mind.
Yeah.
Is that loving touch of, hold on, you're not doing something properly. Take time to stop, think, and see where you need to make changes. So it's not a bad, in good or bad, we can see there's love. That's how I like to see it.
Yeah.
It's not because of the way we have positioned and retrained, conditioned our minds. The things that we hold valuable have pushed us to the point of where we don't give ourselves the opportunity to rest.
Right.
There is nothing wrong with doing nothing.
Nothing. Exactly.
Yeah, I embrace it. I take it. I don't feel guilty about lying down in bed past 10 o'clock.
I love that. Yes.
If that's what's necessary for me at this point, I will take it.
Embrace it.
I plan to take it.
Right.
I tell my children, my husband, everybody around me, I have to do this for myself in order to be there for you.
Right.
So looking at every situation and asking, why is this coming my way? And if it demands you listening, like you said, with the power of the word, these are the tools we're given to be able to get into these states. Speak to yourself, because there's so much loudness around.
Ooh, so somebody put that in the chat. Hashtag, that is so.
Yeah.
And the chaos and the noise, Omolola. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Getting to that. And in my my, oh my God, this is good. In my devotion this morning, I'm doing The Chosen. They were talking about praying, and how it's so important to steal away and pray and get get the quiet. The other day on my drive into work, I was listening to the art of getting quiet. And I was like, oh, this is lining up with what we're going to be talking about Friday. Because, rest for us, the world, we look at, if you're being still, if you're at home in bed doing nothing, you're resting, we look at that as, oh, she lazy, he lazy. Correct. Ain't doing nothing, good for nothing, just being a bum. But like you say, it's sacred. It's that obedience. It's about that self-care. Self-care is sacred. Yeah. It's not selfish. It's sacred. And so we have to get in that space of not feeling guilty for resting, for giving our body what it needs to continue, so we can serve, so we can continue to minister, so we can continue, because everything that we do is for God's glory, not ourselves. We get it twisted a lot of times. And so we have, for you, Omolola, the question is, how can the people that's tuning in today, how can they begin to see rest as a divine strategy and not a weakness?
Thank you. Let's just keep it simple.
Yeah.
With that, I like to look a lot at, because we're not the only creatures on earth that are creatures of the Most High. I don't consider myself an animal lover, but I learn a lot from them. So I want to use the cat, which is probably the most feline kind of, closer to the feminine with us as women, that in an animal as I can get. The cat is, watch a cat walk. Very, 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 very intentional in the walk. And watch a cat rest. Very classy, gracious in its poise, how it positions itself, and how long it takes, it doesn't care. So I took something from that. but they still get stuff done. They still eat. It's like, if this animal can, find time to relax, why not me? Was my first point of call when I started going through this journey. And then I also looked at how everything has a time in nature. We have spring, summer, fall, and winter. And everything obeys. We have day and night. The sun has been doing its work for eons of time, right? And without fail. So I said to myself, these are the physical representations of how things work in creation. So why am I a disjointment of that? What are the things in my life that are causing me not to even feel it's okay to rest, whether physically or in my mind, through meditation or whatever, And so I looked at it. It was, for me, just like, Rochelle had pointed out, waking up in the morning and just getting up and going, and not giving myself time to talk, to commune first with my creator and then with myself, so that I know I'm connected. One beautiful thing about us as women is the fact that we have this gift of intuition. But then again, within the noise and everything, we have to learn to listen to it. We have to learn to grow it. If not, it's just a little light that wants to shine, that's just there, not getting the brightness it should. And just staying still, sitting up, just taking a deep breath and waking up to the day helps to wake that up as well. So just coming to that understanding that it is important to see my day as another opportunity to be of service. Those things helped me to reprogram and reposition my mind so that I can now become okay with what I hear. So if I'm hearing, girl, slow down, sit, I won't feel like, oh, I need to answer that email. Oh, I need to cook. Oh, no, you need to do you. Like this morning, I woke up, I just wanted to lay down. I did not get up to look like this until 30 minutes to this. So, yes.
I love that. Girl, you're in good company. Because again, when God wakes me up, and I'm glad I'm in this space, Omolola, because like I said, this wasn't the Rochelle pre-COVID. Like I said, I mentioned earlier before we actually went live that I used to wake up and just get up out of bed and just go. I had no rhythms, no routines, no nothing. I praying, no, devotion, no, meditation, mindfulness, no. I was just going. And it's no wonder your girl burned out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just allowing, it took COVID to sit me down, that disease, knowing that I was burned out. I was not I was not pouring into myself what God wanted me to pour into myself. I was out of alignment. You know, when you're driving a car, for those of us that drive, and if like you say, you know, that cat, that illustration was a beautiful illustration. We have that intuition, just being able to become aware that, you know, when you're driving and you're kind of, you know, the wheel is kind of moving to the left, or is even, you know, kind of moving to the, it's not going straight. It's not in alignment. That and even with our spiritual relationship, God, you know, having that vertical alignment, you know, being able to align our hearts and our pace with God's divine rhythm, and let Him set our direction, and not the distraction and the noise of the world, because that's what we do. That's what I did. You know, waking up, reaching for the phone, scrolling all night. It becomes too much.
Correct.
And like we've said, you know, you know, when we're allowing our bodies to rest and to bring healing, because that's what I had to do. I had to rest and heal my body. It went through some trauma of surgery.
Yeah.
And so it's not idleness. It's not laziness. It's having that intimacy with God, you know, intimacy God, you know, taking that time, being intentional, because it's about renewal. It's about getting that revelation. It's about Him showing. It's about, the power of restore. And that's why I love Carla's summits. You know, renew, restore, refocus, reset. I know I took them out of order, but it's just allowing us this opportunity to rest. And I love it when, like you said, Omolola, you know, tapping into those resources, finding those resources and using those tools that allow us to rest and to reset and to slow down. You know, that idea of, you know, when I first met Carla, curating that experience.
Yes.
Of rest, of self-care, of slowing down and allowing yourself, because like you said, you know, have you ever found yourself needing to slow down?
Yeah.
And then when you find yourself in that space, Omolola, you know, one of the things that we struggle with, I struggle with, is, come on, lean in, trust. We have to trust God's timing. We have to Rochelle, you got to let it go. Let go of the control.
Correct.
And so, because the more we release, the more I released or learned to release the control, the more I started receiving, peace, blessed assurance. I can just sing. Yeah, you know, I can't sing.
Yeah. So what's, you know, one thing I think that helps with gaining that trust and building it up within ourselves is not to have expectations.
Yeah.
Expectations of ourselves, expectations of those around us, you know, and expectations of even our country, society, community, because it's all made up of people, and people are trying, or everybody has something they're dealing with.
Yeah.
So I can only control me and my own little space. So that's why I keep telling myself. For me, in my relationship, even now with my husband, I love him to death. He's a great person.
Yeah.
But I have come to recognize that I can still only control me.
Exactly.
And I can still only have expectations of me. I dare not have expectations of him.
Yeah.
Because he's on his own journey.
Right.
It's a choice we decide to do life together, but that doesn't remove the individuality of our experiences.
Exactly.
And so I have to give him that grace to do his.
Right.
Because
we want the same. We want the same.
Yes. So
give us that grace.
Yes. So I don't have expectations anymore, and that has helped me a great deal, because then I can say, I'd love to cook for you today, but I'm so sorry, I don't feel it, and if I don't feel it, it's not going to be you. It won't taste good. So
you won't. He won't taste the love.
Yes. So I apologize. I can talk. I can say that because I have not put the expectation on myself that I must. Do this for this all the time.
Yes.
Or even show up for my children. They will. If I can, I will. If I cannot, I'm sorry.
Right.
So not having that expectation, let us let go and allow the joy, the way life is playing out itself for us through the power of the Almighty that's constantly in creation. We're now able to tap with the intuition.
Right.
So when we do not expect, we're able to allow that intuition to flourish.
Ooh.
And that is where the letting go comes from.
Right.
It's learning to live life from your intuition, from your spirit being, as opposed from your intellect and brain.
Yeah, I like that word. I have to write that down. Flourish, because as soon as when you said it, it brought to my mind, that slow. Because remember, we're talking about the art of slowing down.
Correct.
Flow, that gentle flow, and how we can trust that process. And so, when we think about, we've talked about the word art, becoming aware, aligning ourselves. Also, the R, rest, the T, trust. So now we're in the acronym of slowing. And so when we think about the S in slowing, that's silent. And we've been talking about it all morning, because the silence. And often, and it's, I guess it's the way you look at it, and how you can put it in the season. Because we often hear when you go to the movies, if people still even go to the movies, I know I don't. But, they say, because we got so many streaming devices, but they say silence is golden. And so in a noisy world, where do you think silence can bring clarity in your life? Because on the other side of that, when we're talking about, even in my books, but in books that I've read, when we're talking about domestic violence, we just came out of October, and October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and when we're talking about, then we can say silence is not golden, because the woman gets back her power when she's been able to use her voice. And so the L, when we think about the L, so we got the silence. We've been talking about letting go. And so, letting go, like you say, of those burdens, those expectations of that we need to release in whatever season we find ourselves in, whether it's at work, at home, in our marriage, at school, at church, in our ministries, in our comings and our goings and our businesses, being able to release having those expectations for somebody else. And then when we think about the O in slowing, again, we can stop and we can observe, what is God showing me right now? Am I going to slow down long enough? Like they say, stop and smell the roses. What do you want me to see right now, God? And how can your wisdom, being able to, we have to ask him for the wisdom, and he's going to give it to us. Thank you, God, for wisdom and discernment. And so with the wisdom, how can we tune in and just have that, in that season of stillness, having our next step, the art of slowing down, being able to let it reveal to us what's next. So, how do you tune in? Okay. How do you use your wisdom?
Thank you. There's some quite a number of points I just from what you were saying that came up to me before I answer that question.
Of course.
We've talked about intuition and how that is a great gift for us as women and generally as everybody, but the women, it's stronger with women, really. And just having that, opportunity to put oneself in a position to listen, to literally just give up control, in a sense, by going within and stilling. And that is where the silence comes in. And that is where silence is golden, even for those within situations of harm, domestic violence and everything, when they're not to keep quiet with the voice, but to be silent within so they can listen and be strong enough to do what they're told to get out of whatever situation they're in.
I love that. Yeah.
So there's so much silence in strength. There's so much strength in silence.
In silence, yes.
It is that link to actually being able to hear the intuition, depending on how it speaks to us. Now, what can we do physically to put ourselves in that state? For everyone, it is different. For me, I find the joy in walking. And also, doing some gardening. Some people do some knitting. What was the thing that, as a child, that gave you joy?
Coloring.
Thank you.
Make sure you stay in them lines, girl.
Thank you. Yeah. I love to arrange flowers.
Oh, nice.
So one of the things that is killing and making it difficult today to actually learn to rest, to let go, to slow down, is we have lost those connective points that allowed us to express ourselves creatively. Those are the times where we're able to listen, to hear, to find that peace in ourselves. I have a son who taught himself how to play guitar.
Wow.
And I love to watch him play, because it's like he goes into a trance or something. He just plays. And my husband and my other son are artists. They draw a lot, and the same thing. They go into that world and nothing around them matters anymore. So I encourage everyone, it's not too late. It's never, ever too late to find what sparks joy within you, sparks happiness, gives you a time to really reflect and maybe talk to yourself. I talk to myself a lot when I'm doing these things I'm talking about, because when I enjoy it, it lets me, when I'm walking, for instance, I can process. I can, especially when I'm maybe upset about something. I don't want to say with someone, but really about the situation, and I'm like, okay, how do we deal with this without disrespecting each other or causing more disharmony? So I withdraw from it, and I try to take a walk or read a book, or I will read a book aloud, read something that makes me back into the space, aloud. And I'm very, how can I say, down to earth, and we all experience stuff. The last time I was really, I there was some certain things my husband did, that just jolted in me a feeling of a little bit of sadness,
Right.
and me 2-3 years ago would have made shout out, be like, what, what?
Yeah, yeah. Gave it to him. Yeah.
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 I said, Lord, help me.
Lord help me.
What do I do? And I didn't hear anything. Nothing came to me. So I knew I had to be quiet. So I didn't confront at that point.
Yeah.
And thankfully that I did not, because through a space of a day and a half, the conversations I had with people, someone said to me, we talked about compassion. And I said, oh, I need to have compassion for this man. I said, okay. Yeah. So by the time we eventually had a conversation, I had been helped through silence to see a different side of things, and be able to come to a conversation and say, hey, I would like this to be how we respect each other. And I would also like us to pray for this journey together, because it can be trying.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. It's a journey.
Yes. Yeah. For all this, I know that's kind of a long response to your question, but I just felt that, it's good to kind of give practical terms to what because it is possible. It's a journey you and I are on, maybe further than others, but I really encourage everyone, to really take a look, because the way life changes and becomes different.
Yeah.
Even to, yeah.
Let me just read some of these comments. Our girl Carla.
Okay.
She said, girl, preach. Okay, silence. Let me go ahead and try that. LOL. And so, we're talking about a lawyer, a wordsmith.
What? Yeah. So
yeah, and sometimes, that's something new.
Correct.
For somebody, not being able to allow themselves, because some people, Omolola, they don't like being by themselves, to themselves.
Yes, that's another thing. That's another thing it forces you to do, to really love yourself, to be your own best friend. I say that all the time. I say, I'm my own best friend.
Yeah.
I can stay by myself for a good period of time. Like, okay, do I need people really?
Yeah. Rochelle, party of one. I don't mind going to a restaurant. Rochelle, party of one. We go.
Yeah. The other, my son the other day was like, "You're so quick with Amazon," because he just got a cast, and we had to put something on, so that he could shower and all that. And he said, "What? You're so quick with?" I said, "Yeah, because I can't do people. I'm good."
Look, I'm good. And so, I want to go back to the walking. I'm with you, especially during COVID. It was like, there's a song, just a little talk with Jesus.
Yeah.
And for me, during that time, that's when I discovered my love for walking. Cause I don't like to run. And I remember on one of my walks, how I used to I always fuss at my kids. I'm a PE teacher. And so it was like, run, do, move, exercise, whatever, take care of your body. But look, I was secretly, and we had a podcast about this, free yourself from hypocrisy. Because I was living in hypocrisy. I was telling them one thing, but I wasn't doing. I wasn't putting in the work. I wasn't taking care of my health and wellness. And so when I started walking, oh my goodness, it was wonderful. And for me, it was just a little walk with Jesus. And that was my time of reflection, and that's how I came up with this podcast and started writing the books, and just, I mean, it was a whole thing, and it still is. And so you have to really, make sure, tap into, because that's the only way you're gonna free yourself to the art of slowing down, is go, like you said, go back to what is it that allows you that time to sit in silence, to reflect, to meditate, to have that mindfulness, be it coloring, gardening, crocheting, singing, clean, whatever
for the guys out there fixing the car or whatever.
Yeah. And Dr. Sims, she was on one of her summits, and she reminded us, you have to make fitness fit you.
Yeah.
It can't, if you can't try to do what somebody else, do what works for somebody else. It has to be something that you are passionate about. And so, and people even saying, you gotta love being, enjoy your own company. And so, that's kind of where we are. So now we're at intentionality. So we slowing is, we talked about the silence, the letting go, being observant. The W is wisdom. Now we're at intentionality. And so we have to be intentional every single day.
Correct.
Of finding freedom in the art of slowing down. Asking yourself, how can I slow down today? How can I lean into silence? How can I let go of something that's causing me to feel anxious? We talked about that before we came on live on Omolola, about my son and his, he's 22. Woo cha. And I have to be intentional about not letting his struggle become my struggle. And so, and being intentional, what does that look like for you? When we come to the end of slowing, it looks like how your, nourishment. How are you nourishing your body, your mind? What are you feeding your mind? Right. The Bible tells us, don't make provisions for the flesh. Ugh. And so, we have to be in a space of what are we feeding?
Yes.
Are we feeding our minds with negativity? Are we feeding our minds with, like I say, always wanting more? Are we feeding our spirit with hate, with jealousy? Mm-hmm. Are we feeding our body with things that for me, I'm in a space of now I'm doing a water challenge. And I want the water challenge not only to nourish my body.
Yes.
And I don't want it to just stop when me nourishing my body with water. I don't want it to just stop when the challenge is over. I want it to become an intentional thing that I do every single day. So is to feed my body with water, to nourish my body with water, because that's what truly satisfies.
That's so exciting.
I'm excited.
How long have you been on the water fast? Right, the
now? Water challenge. I started November 3rd.
Wonderful.
And so my goal, I have an accountability group. And then I'm also in Carla's Power Accelerator program that she got going on. And so I'm tapping into those tools, Omolola.
Yes.
And I'm reaching in there using my resources that are made available. Because what I realized, Omolola, when we go back to that awareness and being observant, I was seeing how dehydrated I was. And I did not want to go into another quarter of being dehydrated. because it's affecting my skin, it's affecting my sleep, it's affecting my joints and it became painfully aware how I was neglecting this temple. So, in wanting to be serious about, and discipline with drinking water. And so I created, and I have all of these different, worksheets and workbooks and all of these things. But this, I always have this. And so I created a little tracker. And so my goal is, 3 to 5 water bottles. My body weight says 6, but you can't, when you're starting something, start small, because when we start too big, we tend to fall off when we mess up.
Correct.
And so those small steps, they reap big dividends. And I can't wait to, as I go, because I have every date. And so the 3rd, I had 3 water bottles. Tuesday, I had 3 water bottles. Wednesday, I had 4. And that came from my coach, the Power Accelerator coach, Carla. Because she texted me and was like, what is your intention for the day? What intention are you going to set today? All right, I'm going for that 4 water bottle. And so, and it felt good. You having that encouragement, having that coach, having that accountability, to really allow myself to do that. And like I say, for somebody else, it may look different.
Correct.
And so it brings us to the G in slowing. Grace. How can you give yourself grace to be and to slow down in this season? How does that look? What does that look like for you? Showing yourself grace, Omolola.
For me, it comes down to, one, being aware, like we've talked about, and acknowledging where I am, and in that process, being silent so I can listen to how best to navigate, and then setting the intent of doing that, as it comes to me. It could, like you said, it's different for everyone.
Right.
So knowing that I am, again, a human spirit having a human experience, and here is my space and stage to learn. They say the world is a stage. I will make those mistakes. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. And acknowledging that, there's nothing wrong. Hopefully those mistakes do not hurt other people. And if they do, I should have the good sense of mind to apologize. That's where communication comes in. And it's a great tool to use to help ourselves in this journey of living, So just having that, so all this put together gives me the grace, knowing that I will make mistakes. I acknowledge that. I want to move forward, and I will listen to be guided and helped to find the solutions to where I can go. So, just living in that present state, not wanting to think of, oh, this happened yesterday, and holding on to all those things, knowing that I'm here to learn also. So let's that is where my giving grace comes from. And I feel every one of us can, once we decide to really set ourselves in this journey, acknowledging that it's not going to be smooth every day, but being like a little child, just waking up with that joy and being ready to take it on again, So we have as we age, as we're growing, we have all these, and that's why community is important, because you can see life in different faces and still learn from that, the little baby just wakes up, you know, hi mom, you know.
Yeah.
The teenager would
Uh,
would would maybe grudgingly wake up,
uh,
but they're not afraid, you know. They speak how it comes. It's not filtered.
yeah. Oh yeah, for
and
sure.
then and they're not afraid, you know. So there's something to always learn from everyone, and just enjoying the day. I think we don't do that anymore. Also, just
Mm-hmm.
enjoy where
Exactly.
we are,
Right.
who we're with,
Right.
who has been placed in our lives, you know, whether through family, work relationships, business relationships. They're all there for a reason.
Right.
And just seeing that and acknowledging it, and again, not putting expectations, you
Right.
know. I feel this is how I give myself grace, you know, especially at this times that we are in now in our country. So much is up in the air, so much is,
Mm.
you know, I, I can only control my world, my little universe, as I put it. And I feel if everyone tries to make that even better,
Right.
there's a triggering effect on the whole. So we cannot allow for, you know, depression, you know, the heaviness of that, because we want to keep attack, you know. Maybe that's what this time is calling for us to do. Sit back, you know, and really
Exam.
rest. Yeah.
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 And you mentioned, this world is just the state. It's just it's going down, 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 and that leads us to our acronym of down. In as we start landing this plane, and we've been seeing a lot of plane crashes, and so when we think about the down acronym, the framework, I want us to think about that deep rest, that deep renewal, because going down, it doesn't mean falling. You know how these planes been falling out of the sky and just you say you're going down, you're down that rabbit hole or just down that road of depression. No, we want to look at down as surrendering,
Mm-hmm.
because remember, we want to release the control, because the D in the down is we have to have that discipline in rest. Just creating those daily disciplines that honor rest and honor the rhythms of slowing down, of taking that rest. And so when we think about the O in down, we have to open our hearts, being able, I can't, if I'm holding on to something, I can't receive the God's peace. I can't receive God's love. I can't receive grace. I can't receive help.
Yeah.
Because I'm resisting. I'm clenching. And I used to do this a lot. And so the O, even in my name of Rochelle, now I am open to receive. And one of my beloved accountability partners, Miss Felicia Pichon, is always, whenever someone says something that's profound, she always says, "Oh, I received that. Oh, yes. I received that in the love, in the spirit that it was given to me." And so during this season of how we can free ourselves to slow down, we have to be able, in that silence, like you said earlier, when you were talking about, your husband not being able, you had to wait. You had to wait and listen, because it's in the waiting on what truly matters.
Correct.
How you're waiting in this season, and how you're nurturing, and building, and being intentional with those new rhythms. And so we can't have the pressures of life just really keep us down. We have to be able to set boundaries, to protect our peace, to preserve our energy. We have to be fully present, not just existing, but experiencing, being in the moment, in that stillness, in that waiting. And then, allowing ourselves to heal, to slow down, that we're creating space, for that emotional, the physical, the spiritual healing that we're going to get when we free ourselves to, not from, but to the art of slowing down. And so I want to ask this question, but before I ask the question, I want to think about, I want us to think about this word art. Aligning our hearts and our pace with God's divine rhythm. Letting his will, not our own, set our direction, not the world's distractions. Being able to rest, having that intimacy with him, because that's where our renewal, that's where our revelation, that's where our restoration starts and it begins. Being able to trust. I trust in God. I mean, he is that same God yesterday. In my prayer this morning, I was like, God, I trust you. I trust you because when I was in this same season with my son, you delivered. When I was in that same season yesterday, last week, last month, last year, 2 years ago, you were that same God. And I know that you're going to be that same God today. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that you're going to be that same God forever. And so just being able to trust and let go of my own anxiety, of my own fears. And so when we think about just art, when we think about just the general definition of art, because like I say, I love, Omolola, that you came up with this topic. When we think about art, it's the expression or the application of human creativity, our imagination, our emotions, and it produces works that inspire beauty, meaning, truth. And so when we think about it from a spiritual standpoint, we think of art as that sacred practice of creating with intention, where our hearts, our minds, our spirits working together to express truth. Oh my God, to evoke peace, heavy on the peace. And so, one of my professors a long time ago, he and I never forgot this what he said. No God, N-O, no God, N-O, no peace. But think about no, K-N-O-W, no God. That peace that surpasses all understanding. And so it's about, reflecting, thinking about, meditating on God's divine design, how he designed us, fearfully, wonderfully made, how he designed and created this world. And being able, like I say, just to stop and slow down and enjoy his creation.
Yeah.
I went to our Gulf Coast Ladies Bible class last Saturday. It was in Texas City. Shout out to Westwood Church of Christ and Miss Cherie. And she talked about, I love God, because of just being able to acknowledge all of his creation, all of everything, the beauty that we see and enjoy. And so it's not about when you think about art, it's not about painting or the art of performing. Like you say, your son, he taught himself to play that musical instrument. Was it the guitar?
Guitar, yeah.
It's about how you're living,
How you're
how you're
connected.
breathing,
Correct.
how you flow and flourish in harmony, those rhythms of
Yes.
God's timing and purpose.
Correct. Yes.
And so my last question is, if when you think about the art of slowing down, what would you what would you say to someone um, that is in this season of busyness? They are unbalanced. They have no peace. They're trying to figure out what their purpose is. One of the NFL Dallas Cowboy players killed himself the other day. It's not just being in that place. What is it that you can tell our readers, or you can share with our readers on really knowing how to move through this season of embracing this art of slowing down? What would you tell our readers? One final thing.
Thank you. In order to experience lasting peace, joy, and happiness, we have to live in the present.
Mm.
This requires us to move away from the past in thought, word, and deed. Yesterday's done, including all that occurred, good,
Mm-hmm.
bad, indifferent. Today must be experienced, but we can't if we are stuck on yesterday
Mm-hmm.
and what it held. We're meant to keep the essence of what we
Mm.
got from it, the lessons of growth and the memories to propel us to a next step in our journeys. When we hold on to yesterday and do not keep ourselves in the presence of today, there are certain dangers that come up for us. Depression, you know, it's the real true heaviness by the weight of holding on, you know, stinky thinking, you know, would I could, if I could, should I could, I want, this will it makes us stuck, and without, doesn't give us that ability to move on with them, you know. The ugly words, we touch so much about words today, how we
Yeah.
speak to ourselves, how we speak to others, how we, because we as human spirits have three tools. They're not physical tools: our words, our thoughts, and our actions. And
Yeah.
they hold and speak life to us all the time. So the word, how you wake up in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror and say, "Hey, girl,
Hey, girl. Hey,
you're
beautiful.
beautiful." You
Good
know,
morning, beloved.
yes,
Yes.
yes. And speaking, I am here. You know, I am grateful for today. You know, I will work in my purpose as it presents itself to me. At every point that I feel stuck or I feel I just can't move, I speak something
Mm.
to address that problem, to address that, because I know there's power in the word that I speak.
Oh, yes.
You know, the power of the Almighty is in creation, is
Mm.
in this world. Despite the way it looks, it is.
Yes.
And we have to hold on, give it room, because it's there. We just have to latch.
Right.
And it's through these words that we speak, you know. And all this we've been talking about is activity. There's full activity in everything we've expressed so far. even when we're talking about rest, letting go, so being intentional, being aware, all that is activity. And that is what helps to keep us moving on. When we don't do that, when we don't want to let go, that is when we end up being, we allow laziness in. You know, there's that comfort in, oh, it's what I know that I want to do, you know. But when we allow ourselves to be rejuvenated, to be given an opportunity to to expand, by recognizing that our tools are come from within. That is where the expression of our human beingness can come from. That is where the artistry of our essence establishes itself. And then we can come to our purpose. Because every human being has a purpose. And I always say that to my children. I say, there's two things in the life of an individual: the day he was born and the day he found his purpose. So I love that. I want to encourage everyone who has spent the last hour or so with us.
Yeah.
I want to thank you all for being here, for showing up. I hope we have touched on what you knew and want to start bringing in. Mm-hmm. And if it's not something you knew, I want to encourage you to just think of one thing you can do for yourself. Baby steps.
Right.
In the whole process. Is it becoming more aware of what is going on around you and saying, okay, this, now that I know this is where this is triggered from,
right,
I can find the help to deal with it. Just start. You're not only making your world better, you're making my world better also, because we all live here together. If you're not happy, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, the sadness that weighs someone like me down, because I'm an empath, is not sadness from my immediate environment. It's sadness from what's going on with other people that I just feel.
Right.
So I just want to thank you for this lovely Friday.
Yes, Friday. So can you let us know? I've dropped your information in the comments.
Okay.
Let us know what are you up to next? What's next for Omolola?
Well, so Omolola is in that season. I have a book I've been writing for a while that I will hopefully it's called it's for immigrant entrepreneurs in the US, and I would love to have everyone's support in bringing it to birth. It's almost there.
All right. Woo, can't wait.
And yeah.
Is it can you share the title, or is you want to wait, or what? Come on.
The title is The Immigrant Entrepreneur. That is the title.
The Immigrant what?
Entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur. Okay. All right. I love that.
Yeah.
So y'all be on the lookout, and so I'll have to have you back on the show.
Okay.
And see how we can free ourselves from something that's within the book. I absolutely.
There's a lot we can free ourselves from.
Oh yeah.
Even though I'm taking it from the point of, a lot of folks who come into the U.S. to get a better life, and just trying to give them a tool to navigate that process of if they want to do business in the U.S.
Right.
How does that look like? What is the best structure? And how do you position yourself to make sure your assets are protected? And so that once you're building through all this, you have a legacy. Which is something everyone can benefit from. I just wanted to put it to that angle because in my experience, in how I show up to help everyone, I find that there's so much information, and people get overwhelmed with the information, and many times miss certain steps, or are, traumatized that they do not trust any longer.
Yeah.
And decide, oh, I want to go this journey alone.
Right. I love that. So I can't wait. I forgot to mention to all of my listeners. One is thank you for tuning in today, and make sure you like, share, subscribe to my YouTube page. Also, I forgot to remind us that your girl, me and Omolola, we are not licensed professional therapists or doctors.
Oh no, we just sharing.
No. That's our disclaimer. This is life. This is our wisdom and experience.
Correct.
That on how we have freed ourselves to the art of slowing down. And so I just thank you all for tuning in today. As we close today's episode of Free Yourself Friyah, I want to remind you, beloved, that the true, somebody put it in the chat, the true art of slowing down is found in learning to align, to rest, and to trust.
Yeah.
Align your steps with God's rhythm. Rest in his presence without guilt. And trust that his timing is always perfect. You don't have to chase what God has already ordained. You just have to slow down enough to receive it. So this week, beloved, give yourself permission to breathe, to pause, and simply be. Because slowing down isn't falling behind. It's catching up to your soul. Until next time, keep freeing yourself, mind, body, and spirit. We love you, and there's not a thing you can't do about it.
No.
Take care, be well. And again, thank you, Omolola, for joining us today. Have a great and safe weekend. Until next time. Happy Thanksgiving to you, too. And
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, friends.